Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is the one, the only Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson. How's it going this beautiful Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, Chuck?
Well, it's going as good as it gets.
It's going as good. It's a good morning. I mean, that's seriously, and it's Good Morning Liberty. So we got those two things going for us right now.
Yeah. Good Morning Liberty. How was your night?
It was great. It's Dumb Bleep of the Week, which is everyone's favorite episode of the week. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of dumb things that have been happening.
And
okay,
this has been narrowed, just so you are aware.
It has actually.
Yeah, we start every week with around 1,000 things, and when I say we, I mean Nate. And then he whittles that down to the bare minimum. And this week is 16.
The bare minimum was 16 entries, which means I'm going to warn everyone right now. If you're listening on the podcast app, this will be broken up into 2 episodes. This is part 1 of Dumb Bleep of the Week.
Unless you're part of the Fed Haters Club.
If you want to hear the whole thing and vote on it, you got to be one of the Fed Haters. Join gmail.com. It's too late for this episode. If you're hearing it right now and you're mad, you're not going to hear the winner. You're just not going to until tomorrow. Not until yesterday, because that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe even Monday. It might be Monday.
Yeah, it could be Monday when that happens. Who knows? But you're going to hear the second half of it tomorrow for sure. And we appreciate all of our fine Fed haters out there for hanging out with us. We got a couple technical things going on right now too, so I'm going to have to make sure that I can still control sound. I realize I don't have the soundboard on the computer here anymore, which is how I control the volume clips. The clips volume.
Yeah.
When we play our little clips during the show, and so I'm trying to figure out how to do that physically over here on this here board. Anyway, you guys don't care about that. We're going to go through 16 things. The Fed Haters Club is going to vote for which one is in fact the dumbest, and we better get this show on the road because there's quite a few things to talk about. Number 1, I'm going to start. This is like a preface. This is not the dumb. It's going to be called the Medicaid Freakout. All right, so we're just going to pick right back up with Medicaid with yesterday's lost episode that we just weren't able.
Part of the Fed Haters Club.
The Fed Haters Club got yesterday's full episode.
That's the perks.
I know.
You know?
There's those kind of perks. I want to show you guys that according to polls, the face of the Democrat Party is in fact AOC. How about that? 26%.
Looks like she's tied with no one.
She's tied with no one. Okay, that's good. That's good to throwing in a white pill there. That's good too. And honestly, I think the whole thing is a white pill because I think she might run for president. And I hate to say this. I hate to be the one to say this. I don't think she would win.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
You should think that she'll win.
I think she's going to win. She's going to sweep. She's going to win all the swing states. Yeah. There's no chance. Whoever's running against her has no chance.
Was that like a misogynistic comment there? She's going to sweep? Of course.
No, it was a racist comment.
Right. Oh, man. Just picking on the woman of color.
Already. Gosh. Okay, so I just wanted to let everyone know she's followed closely behind by... Well, tied with no one. She's followed closely by other. And then the next one down is Bernie Sanders. And then Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett. It's the next one on there. Okay,
man. I'm surprised Gavin Newsom's only at 2% there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good thing. People can see through that fakeness that there is out there. All right. So this kicks off our Medicaid Freakout, and we talked about this yesterday, although you guys didn't hear about it. This is from the Rolling Stone and a quote from AOC, and she's warning that Republicans are robbing people to pay for billionaire tax cuts, and by that she means that if you take less money from one person, which means you might then give less of that money to another person to whom it does not belong, that is in fact robbing people, that those people somehow have a right to other people's money. And that's really where we are here in the year of our Lord 2025, that if you give people less of other people's money, that's robbing. She says, they're not just out here to cut health care for health care's sake. They have an assignment, says AOC. Their assignment is to cut the taxes of their donors and to have giveaways to big oil, which financed their election, big tech, which financed their election, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, etc. She continues, in order to do that, you have to gut what's left of the healthcare and social safety net. The United, are we gutting what is left of the healthcare and social safety net in the U.S.? Is that an accurate representation of what's happening?
According to AOC, yeah.
They're doing
pretty soon. People are just going to be dying in the streets.
Yeah,
here.
Yeah, like I wish that's what we were doing. It's clearly not what we were doing. She continues, they're doing it because they have to hand over a bag. Does that mean hand over like a bag of cash, I guess? Got to hand over a bag of money. You got that bag of money from that person, so technically you're just not taking the bag from them. But whatever. I guess that doesn't matter. Okay, we know that part. There's several AOC videos out here that I guess I can go to and play. Let me open up my Medicaid section right fast. And we got that. I keep forgetting that we didn't release yesterday's episode, and so we're just doing this all over again. Here's a little bit of AOC.
They're trying to convince people that they are cutting millions of undocumented people from payroll, from Medicare, acting as though
Medicaid.
This is what's going to save it. Even if you believe everything that Republicans have said today, they are identifying 1 million, their claim, which I dispute, but if you believe them, their claim is that 1 million undocumented people are on Medicaid. So why are they trying to cut 13.7 million Americans off their health care? By the Republicans' own Energy and Commerce tweet this morning, their claim is 7.6 million people are somehow ineligible for health care. So why are they cutting 13.7 million Americans off their health care? They've asked us to read this bill, and we have. This bill bans the people that they kick off of Medicaid from even buying their own insurance from the Affordable Care Act exchange. So once you are kicked off Medicaid, you then can't even buy your own health insurance. It increases costs for people who they deem eligible and who are low income and forces them to pay even more. And if you have a private insurer, don't worry, you're getting screwed over too.
Well, the last part is true if you have a private insurer. Forcing them to pay more costs means they've added in that they're going to have to pay $35 copays when they go to use their Medicaid somewhere. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is so complicated, and we can't get... We don't have, even though we have sort of almost unlimited time to talk about this stuff today, we don't have the time to do it and couple it with the other 15 things we have in this show today. But even the Affordable Care Act expansion, normally states share the cost burden with the federal government, and the federal government can end up paying for like half or 60% or whatever, and the state's supposed to cover the other portion of it. Under the expansion in the Affordable Care Act, the federal government pays, I think, 90% of the cost for those people who they just expanded the eligibility for those people to get on it. And then the federal government pays like 90% of it. And so
And then where does the federal government get their money?
Jeff Bezos. They've been getting it from Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. They're not going to anymore.
That's after this
once
bill.
This law passes. Yeah. They're only going to get it from poor people.
Yeah,
is the only place that they're going to get tax money. Mm-hmm. That's all I can tell anyway. I did think it's funny that she keeps saying they claim it's going to kick this many illegal immigrants off of it. But then when she talks about, we're talking about CBO estimates here, and the CBO does say it's like 1.4 million illegal immigrants that are going to get kicked off of it. And she's like, oh, they claim it's going to kick this many off. And then when she talks about the amount of people that might lose coverage, she then uses the CBO's highest estimate possible for how many people are going to lose coverage and talks about that as if it's been written in stone. And when it's a claim of the illegal immigrant, she's like, oh, that's just what they claim on there.
I dispute that number.
And then takes the highest possible scenario for how many people are going to lose their coverage. We'll talk more about all that stuff in a second. Let me see what else we got in here. We did want to make fun of this video.
Oh, we're not making fun of anyone.
Well, I'm making fun of the page Social Security Works. I'm not making fun of this poor elderly person right here that's in a chair, getting
really?
with. No, she doesn't look that old. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
So she's upset, and she has to get dragged out of the room. And Social Security works. She's in a wheelchair, kind of. And Social Security work says, here's another angle of this constituent standing up for her right to health care access. And I'm just saying they wrote it that way on purpose. This was not an accident. And so it's not your fault for laughing at this person. It's their fault for doing that. That's what my other recording is doing right there. Okay, here we go. That's that.
$10,000 a month. And really, you look at me. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. How if you cut all these cuts, how the hell would I be able to shop at your store?
Shop at your store is what she said.
Did she say shop at the store?
Shop at your store.
Your
She's
store?
speaking specifically
Does the guy
to
have a
somebody.
store?
He must.
How the hell would I be able to shop at your store?
Shop at your store. That's what she's saying.
Did we confirm?
Yeah.
I think from yesterday, smoke at the store. That's possible too. That's what she said. We're not entirely sure. Let's see what else we have in here.
She's standing up for her Medicaid rights. By the way, she's not someone who's probably going to lose Medicaid.
No.
So
They keep forgetting, like, we said all these things yesterday, and then you decided not to release the episode, and so we didn't get to make all those points. But no, she's not someone who's on the chopping block for Medicaid. She's probably given into a little bit of misinformation. See, when people talk about cutting Medicaid benefits, I think they think it just purely means that you're going to have, like, less money to be able to use, or they're going to cover way less stuff. And there could be some of that. That could be the case. But the main way that they're doing this is by taking ineligible people off of the Medicaid rolls. And
it's people that shouldn't be on it.
yeah, there's this weird thing that, like, socialists or lefties have, or whatever you want to call them, where, like, the more people you have on assistance indicates a better performing system, you know? And I'm like, isn't it supposed to be the opposite? Shouldn't we want less people to be on these things? Shouldn't assistance be for, like, in a time of need, and then you don't need it anymore? But if you ever do anything to decrease the amount of people that are on it, it's just automatically a bad thing. And it's like you take able-bodied men off of the Medicaid roll, people who could be working, clearly, and you're going to say that they have work
requirements.
requirements.
Send them to work camps.
You send them to camps. Exactly.
And somehow that's a bad thing.
And it's just immediately a bad thing. Whereas you should want people to not have to be on this.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that the goal? Why would the goal be to have as many people on assistance as possible? It should be to have the least amount of people on assistance as possible.
Yeah. Shouldn't we be working towards encouraging people to not need something like Medicaid? It's like, oh, you've advanced yourself in society in such a way that you no longer need Medicaid.
And there's always going to be people.
And here's the other point to that, though. Isn't it weird, though? Like, if you receive a benefit that you're technically not supposed to receive, there's another term for that. Like, they call it theft or fraud.
Fraud could be fraud, yeah.
In what way is it such a bad thing that we're going to try to prevent fraud?
I don't know. And all the while, like, we don't have any money. We got $2 trillion deficits. We got $35 trillion in debt. And eventually the interest on the debt is going to become just completely unsustainable. It's heading that way right now. We've got to do something. It has to happen. We've got to do something.
We've got to do something.
We got to do. And here's one of the other things they're going after, this Medicaid tax loophole, this provider tax loophole. And I found a nice summary of how California uses this. And just so you know, it's not only California. 49 states do this in some way or another, some to a greater extent than other states do. California has done this so efficiently that they've been able to open up whole other budget items, like providing health care for illegal immigrants and stuff, because they save so much money on what they should be putting in towards Medicaid that they're able to open up other programs. Let me give you the summary. The state taxes Medicaid insurers the state taxes Medicaid insurers and then makes higher payments to those same insurers with that tax revenue. The higher payments enable the state to claim additional federal matching dollars. These federal funds leave California with surplus money to spend elsewhere. This scheme effectively allows the state to launder federal Medicaid funds without spending any of its own money. And so because the federal government
you probably need to break that down a little bit.
Yeah. Because the federal government has a certain percentage that they match, and it's like whatever you're paying to this provider, they are going to pay, say, 60% of that number. And so they found a way to get out of actually covering their 40% in the scenario. And the way they found
just increasing
the amount that they pay that provider.
And then they tax it back.
Whatever the extra amount is that they decide to pay, they tax it back from the provider, but the federal government still pays the 60% of the higher dollar amount that they paid to them. Yeah. And so once they get that tax money back, instead of paying the 40% they were supposed to pay, some of these end up paying like 20% of what they were supposed to pay.
Or
then they have extra money left over after that. And the thing that sucks so much about this is, Medicaid is supposed to be like a shared. Listen, I hate the whole system. All right. I hate the whole thing, but the states are supposed to share some of this burden, and you're enrolling these people in Medicaid and you're supposed to share a percentage of this cost. And they found a way to get out of sharing their percentage of the cost by artificially increasing the amount that they pay to these providers and then taxing that money back. And then they can do other stupid stuff in their state with that money.
And by the way,
instead of just paying for the Medicaid.
If you did this as a private company, this is for sure fraud and money laundering.
It's fraud and money
laundering. You'd be in prison
for
literally the rest of your life.
So they're trying to
but the states can somehow get around it.
Yeah. This is actually one of the biggest savers of their cuts to Medicaid. This is actually one of the biggest savers that there is out there, because
it's actually forcing
billions.
The states.
Yeah, it's actually forcing states to cover. Now, states will have to figure out if they're going to make room in their budget to pay what they're supposed to pay as their share for Medicaid, or they might find ways to not cover some of it. They might end up having to raise taxes in some other form. They might have to cut other programs that they have in their states. And that might sound terrible, but they are hiding the actual cost of doing this system by doing these things. And people think that it doesn't cost you in your state what it really does cost you, because they're screwing over the federal government, who has money from all of us, in this whole process, in this whole scheme.
Who's the consultant that consulted with these 49 states?
It was
Bernie Madoff?
It was New Hampshire in the 1980s. Was the first state to figure this out, actually. I don't remember if it was their governor or if it was some other advisor or something like that, but it was actually New Hampshire.
But it was a criminal.
Yeah.
Consultant.
Yeah. He's in prison right now for the money laundering scheme, but,
No, if you do it for the government, then it's totally fine.
That's fine. No, I'm saying separate money laundering, Okay, let's
like
go
to... the federal agents who do drugs and stuff, they sell drugs, no problem.
Let's go to...
They're doing it for the government.
A Republican like Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley is one of my least favorite Republicans that there are out there. I mean, he does so much like Bernie Sanders sounding stuff all the time, which probably means he's going to be in office for the next 30 years, I would say.
Yeah.
But he is against cuts to Medicaid, and I'm not sure this bill's going to pass, to be honest with you. But I've got two clips here. The second clip is just a continuation of this interview.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley, who represents Missouri, a state where roughly 1 in 5 people are on Medicaid, he wrote a New York Times op-ed this week with a very simple message: don't cut Medicaid. Senator Hawley joins me live now from Capitol Hill. Senator Hawley, thank you so much for being with me this afternoon. So as we just showed you, you were warning your party not to cut Medicaid. The speaker, though, he just said this about the House GOP's so-called big, beautiful bill. Listen.
Will you cut Medicaid? We're not cutting Medicaid. Stop buying that.
So he said, if you heard there, Senator Hawley said, we are not cutting Medicaid. Do you agree with the speaker? Is this bill not a cut to Medicaid?
Well, the right thing to do is not to cut Medicaid, so I'm glad to hear him say that. Manu, it ought to be just a basic foundational principle. It is wrong to cut health care for the working poor, and that's what we're talking about here with Medicaid. My state is a Medicaid expansion state. Over 20% of Missourians, including hundreds of thousands of children, are on Medicaid. And Manu, they're not on Medicaid because they want to be. They're on Medicaid because they cannot afford health insurance in the private market. These are working people and their children who need health care. And it's just wrong to go and cut their health care when they're trying to make ends meet, trying to help their kids, trying to make sure that they're able to provide for their families. So I hope that the House GOP and the Senate GOP will get the message here. By the way, President Trump has said the same thing. No Medicaid benefit cut.
He's proud. They're proud of the amount of people in their state that can't afford to pay for stuff. You know, that's good. You know, the
You know what I'm most proud of?
pride is the thing that I most
We have
feel.
people stuck. These poor working class families are stuck.
So
in the
many
hole.
of them. So many of them are
Yeah.
state. It's so good, you know. And we just love the fact that taxpayers around the whole country are forced to pay for that failure. What I really like, kind of apart from the Medicaid situation, is like when he talks about they're on Medicaid because they can't afford to get health insurance. Why don't we talk about that for a second? I like that, you know, they're doing some cuts to Medicaid here. I think there should be work requirements. I think they should get rid of that Medicaid tax loophole. I don't think it should go to illegal immigrants. I'm fine with many of these things. I think that's a great start. I don't like this money transfer program in the first place, but it's a fine start, I reckon. Why don't we talk about the problems that actually exist in the healthcare industry and why insurance is so expensive? He brags about being a Medicaid expansion state, which is an Obamacare thing. And why don't we talk about how Obamacare has destroyed private health insurance and made it completely unaffordable for anyone, taking away all the cheap health insurance plans that you could have gotten.
Why don't we talk about the cost of healthcare?
Just the actual cost that people are paying. Yeah. So let's move on to Dumb Bleep of the week, number 2. That's Dumb Bleep number 1, Medicaid Freakout. Number 2 goes to the Biden revelation. Just breaking news this week.
Yeah.
It turns out Biden had been losing some of his mental acuity over time. And these journalists, the reporters, it's shocking, honestly.
No one knew this.
To find this out. And I think this NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt intro here that's a minute long does the best job explaining just how stupid this situation is.
Meanwhile, there are damaging new details tonight about former President Biden. A new book alleges serious concerns about his mental acuity. Gabe Gutierrez joins us now. And Gabe, President Biden's team is now responding to this reporting.
That's right, Lester. According to an excerpt from the new book obtained by NBC News, it was, quote, obvious to many at a fundraiser last summer that then President Biden did not know who George Clooney was, even though they were longtime acquaintances, and Clooney is one of the most famous men in the world. The book, by journalists Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, goes on to say former President Obama, who was also at the event, had to hop in and finish sentences for Biden during photo ops. In separate excerpts, the authors write that Biden would forget the names of longtime aides and that there were internal discussions about putting the president in a wheelchair in a second term. At the time, the White House publicly defended the president's fitness for office. A Biden spokesperson now says the authors did not fact-check the book with them, adding, "We continue to await anything that shows where Joe Biden had to make a presidential decision or where national security was threatened or where he was unable to do his job. He was a very effective president."
That should have read, "We were very effective presidents."
Yeah.
That's what it should say. No, we talked about this earlier in the week, but the idea that these people didn't know, it's these news anchors and so-called journalists that are driving me nuts here. We'll get to Jake Tapper here in a second. But them coming out and acting like this is some kind of shocking new revelation that Biden was actually having a tough time thinking, every now and then, like
As
they
we
didn't
look
know.
back.
Yeah.
It's like
it's just from
this
this book.
Gaslight NBC.
It is. It is Gaslight NBC. How about that? And so a lot of gaslighting happening, and a good example of this gaslighting came from Jake Tapper, and we did play that supercut earlier in the week, but instead I wanted to play the excerpt of the actual interview with Laura Trump. I think this was one of the craziest examples out there where he ends up talking about a stutter and how kids with stutters are supposed to feel here in this. So let's just listen to that real quick.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You have
to
no
watch somebody on stage
this is so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have one last question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe
Biden. God.
So that's
and then this guy.
It's one of the co-authors.
This guy goes on to write the book.
Yeah.
Exposing.
And they do it in a way that it's exposing the White House for lying to everyone about it, essentially. And so they did their job as journalists. Their excuse is, well, we just took the White House's word for it all the time. I'm sure if you were to open up CNN right now, they're just spending all day taking the White House's word for it on stuff.
Yeah.
Not questioning anything. Well, the White House, the aides say that this is the case. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah.
No.
They're not questioning anything the Trump
not what they're
administration
doing.
is doing.
It's not what they're doing at all, is it? And then the wildest thing is the gaslighting on this. And I'm sure there's more technical terms for what he does here. We talked about it, I think, on Wednesday, that not only did he deny that there's anything happening, but he then turns around and says that it's because of Biden's stutter. And that's what's actually happening. So he lies about that, just totally making something up, and then goes a step further on top of that to then call her out for making little kids with stutters feel bad when they hear this person, all the little kids watching CNN, that they feel bad when they see this thing, you know? And that's just a whole other level of manipulation and I don't know what you want to call it, narcissism, gaslighting, whatever different things you can call it. So yeah, that's number, what number are we on? Oh
2.
my God, is that 2?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, Bubba, no. Okay, how about we get to number 3?
Well, then those people, they're going to profit off of their their own thing that they've set up.
Yeah, they're making great bank right now. They all are. Okay, we're going to go through the thing with Donald Trump's free plane that we're potentially going to be getting from Qatar. Some people say Qatar now, and some people say Qatar. My whole life, I heard people saying Qatar, all right? And so that's just what I'm going to say. So you guys know the story, $400 million 747. To be honest with you, I don't really care like that much about it. I'm honestly not that worried about what they're going to get in exchange. Like, oh, maybe some peace in the Middle East, in exchange for this, that kind of thing. It's not that that I'm upset about. There's the hypocrisy from people on the right in the scenario, because everyone knows that if Joe Biden were accepting an outright $400 million gift from another country, that would be the problem for the big guy to be getting that kind of stuff. We know that they'd be freaking out. And then on top of that, they're just lying about the price tag for it. And so that's driving me nuts too. But earlier in the week, Trump said this, Charlie.
All right, the Boeing 747 is being given to United States Air Force, Department of Defense, not to me. It is a gift from a nation, Qatar, that we have successfully defended for many years. It will be used by our government as a temporary Air Force One until such time as our new Boeings, which are very late on delivery, arrive. Why should our military and therefore our taxpayers be forced to pay hundreds of millions of dollars when they can get it for free from a country that wants to reward us for a job well done? This big savings will be spent instead to make America great again. Only a fool would not accept this gift on behalf of our country. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yes.
I love that he
did thank everyone for their attention to the matter, so that's nice.
First of all, there's no such thing as free.
No, I mean, it's not. They're probably going to want something in exchange, but whatever. That's speculative stuff. The thing is, this is supposed to be used as a temporary Air Force One because we've already ordered some Air Force Ones. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not
that you're stomping in.
Yeah, no. We've already ordered those. And this is supposed to be temporary, meaning for the remainder of Trump's term. And then at the end of that term, it would then be transferred to the Trump library, where Trump has said he will not be using the plane, but there's no reason he would not be able to use the plane. It's going to be transferred to the Trump Library Foundation. And for all we know, he's going to fly around speaking on behalf of the Trump Library Foundation. We don't know that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that could change. That could definitely change. It would be one thing if they were going to give us the plane and it went to the Department of Defense, and then the Department of Defense got to keep the plane after that. That would be a totally different scenario.
But that's not happening.
That's not what the case is. It's going to the presidential library.
Not to mention the fact you already said this, they're going to have to completely disassemble the entire plane.
Yeah.
And then put it all back together.
The whole thing. They got to check it rivet by rivet, piece by piece, the whole thing. And then they got to do all the cool Air Force One stuff that's got to happen to it. You know, Harrison Ford had that escape pod in the bottom of it. They got to, I don't think the thing came with an escape pod pre-installed in it or anything. And I wonder if that actually exists. I mean, that's a cool idea, but I don't know if it actually exists.
Yeah. They got to put the bunker, in there.
Yeah. He says, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do it, can do that. The Dems are world-class losers. It would be one thing if we were keeping the plane. It's going to go, for whatever reason, to the Trump library afterwards. I don't know if they're going to build a library so big it's going to have that. Maybe that's the case. It's a museum, and they're going to put a brand new freaking 747 Flying Palace in there and never fly it again after that. That sounds super reasonable after we do all of the Air Force One upgrades to the plane, which is going to take years to happen.
We don't even know if Trump will be able to fly on this thing,
by the time the Boeing is done retrofitting this plane to make it into an Air Force One, they're going to get to use it for like the last 3 months while he's in office, and then they're going to take it and put it in the library. All right?
Yep.
It just, why? Why wouldn't you just keep using it? Like, if you change it into to an Air Force One, why wouldn't you just keep using it? There's a couple clips from this I wanted to play. Here we go. No, not that one. How about here we go on this one?
What do you say to people who...
This was during the pharmaceutical executive order.
View that luxury jet as a personal gift to you. Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. There was an old golfer named Sam Snead.
All right, we don't have to go through the Sam Snead story. Let's go to this clip from Fake News CNN talking about this. Come on now. Don't you go dying on me.
Capabilities of this unique plane, maybe the most unique aircraft in this country. Look, it has to have highly secure communication systems that nobody can hack into, nobody can read. It needs to have defensive systems to avoid missiles that might be fired at it or any other kind of weapons. The ability to shield against electromagnetic pulse. What that means is every wire in this plane has to be shielded in such a way that it can't be taken out from without, and the capability to refuel in flight. Remember, George W. Bush operated from this plane on 9/11 because that's what you do to make sure you have a safe command center in the sky. Doing all of that on a plane of any sort, but particularly one that's been gifted to you from another country, where in security analysts say you basically have to take the whole thing apart and put it back together to make sure there are no bugs, no built-in failures that have been put in there, could take up to 2 years. Now remember, there are new Air Force Ones on the way that Donald Trump negotiated. They are on the way. Will they be done in time for him to use? We don't know, but presidents don't do it for themselves. They do it for the next president, for the country. Up to 2 years to do that. And in that time, here's the really key part to bear in mind. Making all of those changes to this free gift is estimated to cost maybe 3 times as much as the value of the free gift. And then allegedly this goes to his private, presidential library, his presidential library. In other words, for this free plane, American taxpayers may pay an additional $800 million for 2 years of use. 2 years because this president, because he says he's been made this offer, and he doesn't want to wait for the planes that we're already paying for to get ready. Those are a lot of practical reasons why people who may say politically they like him, they don't like him, they agree with him, they don't.
So all of those facts are completely irrelevant and true, and probably will take more money and more time.
This might be the best job that CNN's
That's
done
actually the best thing they've ever done.
Analyzing something.
It's not a free plane. We've already paid for the other planes. I don't know when they're going to be done. There's a plane they're using right now. Seems to be doing just fine. And we're going to pay, my guesstimate is going to be, probably $500 million to retrofit this plane when we've already purchased other planes. And then we're going to get a year out of use. We just got, 30. They say Trump says 40 years out of the last plane. So we're going to retrofit this plane and get a year out of it and then put it in the library? It doesn't make any sense if you're someone who cares about things that taxpayers are paying for.
Right.
Regardless of claims of corruption or gifts from foreign nations or whatever the case may be, it makes no sense at all. And so that's...
I checked.
Yeah.
And the sense was none.
There aren't any sense that have been made. Let's talk about South Africa. Now this is number 4. We're not going to, we still, even though we have a lot of time, we got to pick it up here.
All right, let's go.
We are not going to come to you with all the facts and figures on whether or not there is a white genocide occurring in South Africa right now. That's not what we're going to talk about here, but the South African government claims that there is not. Now, we let in 59 white South Africans as refugees. I think earlier in the week is when that happened. And the people on the left got really upset about that. We're not supposed to let in white people. It's not. Yeah. That's not what this is for.
That's not what the refugee program's for.
Yeah. Now, there have been claims about, of course, of white farmers being killed. White people there's tons of laws. Actually, we're not going to be able to go into the apartheid system and all that that existed in South Africa and the justice these people, I guess, are seeking right now. But if you're trying to tell people that you're not genociding people, let me tell you how to not do it. Okay. Hopefully this is not what you do. You don't send this out. Okay. From the African National Congress. This page is hilarious here. They say the African National Congress registers its firm rejection of the United States government's decision to grant refugee status. They say 49 individuals. I'd heard a higher number. Let it be categorically stated there are no Afrikaner refugees in South Africa. No section of our society is hounded, persecuted, or subject to ethnic victimization. These claims are a fabrication and a cowardly political construct designed to delegitimize our democracy and insult the sacrifices made by generations who fought for freedom. This year, as we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, we recall its enduring truth that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, This is further enshrined in our Constitution, which affirms equality, dignity, and non-racialism in the bedrock of our national life. Then they say a couple other things here. What the instigators of this falsehood seek is not safety, but impunity from transformation. They flee not from persecution, but from justice, equality, and accountability for historic privilege. The misuse of refugee protections to shield right-wing anti-transformation elements is a violation of the spirit and letter of international law. Millions around the world face real persecution, and they are the ones deserving of sanctuary, not those offended by a democratic society working to redress past injustice.
Yeah.
Okay, pump the brakes here a little bit. All right? That's not what you put in your letter. Do you want to know what else you don't put in your letter? You don't put the media communication guy. You don't put his nickname in there, which is Stalin.
God.
Okay.
Jesus.
So just so you guys know, if you want to get any clarification on this, just contact Stalin there at the South African government for media inquiries. You can go for Mangaliso Stalin Kanza, I guess, is how you would say that. I just want to get a hold of him.
We're not killing people. We're just righting historical wrongs.
Yeah, that's not what's not.
So, it's not killing anyone.
I saw some of the responses on whether or not there's a genocide going on, and before a rogue employee at X had told Grok to back up the claim that there was a genocide going on, Grok was saying that no, there was not a genocide going on, but its proof of that was that the South African government says that there's no genocide going on, and that's what it backed up. I'm not sitting here saying that there is, but when you go to the own government, most of the time they're going to say that this is not happening. And what we might have here, while some people are getting killed, is you might have sort of a precursor, say like the early 1930s in Germany kind of thing. Like, oh no, there's nothing. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, nothing
There's
crazy
a little bit
going
of justice going
Yeah.
on right now. We just want equality, you know. We just it's a transformation that we're going through, you know. So. You know, maybe that's something to
Yeah, they
take
called that
into
something
account.
else in Russia back in the day. What was that called?
I don't know
The
what you call it.
Revolution?
I don't know
It was
what you
just
call
a
it.
transformation.
That's all that. Oh wait, I have. Let's see. That's the one about the plane. We're done with that. Oh wow, I skipped over reparations for this episode. How about that too? Let me get to. There we go. Here's a little clip going around from fake news CNN. CNN's just all over the place in this episode right now. We like them. We don't like them. These
It's the
guys
most play
we
they're
had no
getting.
clue.
And part of that is that the people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans, and so who are not originally from Africa, who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land, just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No, they can
These
leave
refugees
and go,
are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany.
Are you
or
against them coming here?
Holland, probably. Holland. And part of that is that the
He should have said, "Are you telling them to go back to their country?
Are you telling them to go back to where they came from?"
Is that what you're saying right now? Because that kind of sounds like what you're saying. The wild part about this is that these groups of people have been there for. I mean, you might think they just colonized the place like 60 years ago or something like that.
Yesterday.
We're not even talking about Palestine here or anything. You know, it's not even that. These families, some of them, have been there for 400 years. You know, it's not the same thing at all.
Then they deserve everything they're getting,
Yeah.
Nate.
On top of that, thank you,
That's
Josh.
400 years of oppression.
On top of that, they're Dutch. But what did she say originally? I can't remember what country she said.
Germany.
Germany. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's number 4. We're going to keep moving here. Speaking of white guys, Matt Walsh here. Now, this post has no relevance, but I think the situation is really stupid. This is Matt Walsh responding to a post that says, "These people are native to Europe, not the Americas or Africa. Sounds like you need to Google what the word native means." And it's a picture of a whole bunch of white girls. We'll talk about that here in a second. He says people who look like that have been living in the Americas for 5 centuries, and if 5 centuries is not long enough to qualify as native, then how long do you need? If the answer is this post doesn't even matter because this is the picture. All right. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you. I saw this post. I saw the original post, and I did not see what was in this post.
I did not see it either.
I saw the post. I was trying to figure out what the heck they were even talking about. I didn't see what was in the. I literally did not. And I scrolled past it, didn't give it a like, didn't give anything. I was like, what are these guys talking about? This is stupid. And I just scrolled past it. Well, it turns out, which I'm sure you can see it perfectly, plainly fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Did you see it when I first showed you the photo?
No. I had no idea.
Okay, me either. But now that you know it's there.
I thought this was like a weird Mormon post or something.
Yeah, it's kind of what it feels like.
This is, someone's wives.
Yeah.
Creepy.
That kind of thing too. But if you zoom out on it, you can see it way easier, actually. I did notice that as I see
anything.
As I see screenshots. There's a swastika in the photo.
That looks like a zoomed out picture of Mormon wives. That's what that looks like to me.
You're offending Mormons, right? Some of those girls are like 12 years old in that photo.
Yes.
Offense.
Well,
to some of our Mormon listeners.
That's what they
who are
do.
not like that at all. Okay.
Okay. I guess they were like that.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Everyone was.
Yeah.
So, long time ago. All right. Anyhow, this is totally beside the point. There's a swastika in the photo. This is an AI generated photo meant to make these girls' dresses form the shape of a swastika. All right, that's what's happening right now. Now, I happen to believe that that Matt Walsh did not see that because I didn't see it when I saw it, and I think it's also possible that he didn't see it. Now, if you go to some people on X, he definitely saw it and he reposted it because he's trying to spread Nazism around X. That's definitely what's happening. One of the guys who posted this out, here's James Lindsay, anti-communist. He said How It Started, which is a cover for Am I Racist? And How It's Going is a screenshot of him reposting that photo that has a hidden swastika in it. Someone says he most likely didn't notice. It's not that obvious. You have good points. Don't ruin them by making bad ones. And he says, I agree, but a comment or deleted post is in order soon. What really drove me nuts about this is that this person said he most likely didn't notice. And James Lindsay says, yeah, I agree. He probably didn't notice it. Well, that's not what his first post says.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what his first post implies anyway. It's going from Am I Racist or something about DEI to reposting swastikas. But he agrees that Matt Walsh did not see it. And then and now I keep hearing myself saying Nazi over again, but he did not see it. Mostly Peaceful Memes is making fun of James Lindsay, and he says, I mean, we're talking about a swastika, man, and we all know what is happening to Matt and what you're defending. And so this weird controversy where somehow...
And this is the guy calling everyone else woke.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to punch him in the face sometimes.
I know, he needs to be punched in he's just doing a whole bunch of woke things all the time.
Yeah.
James Lindsay's going around as a woke crusader calling out things that he doesn't like. And even when
practicing woke.
Even practicing wokeism.
He's practicing wokeism.
He's read so much about
by telling people
wokeism, he became woke.
They shouldn't that they're woke, not him.
Yeah. No, not him. Not him at all. He just wants someone to apologize or delete this accidental post.
And then he goes like on Jordan Peterson and talks about psychopaths, that he's a psychopath.
Yeah, he's being a psychopath.
This is like, if you want an example of what like a psychopath looks like, it's those people.
Yeah.
It's the ones going around telling everyone else that they're crazy. That's the crazy one.
It's most of the time. There's a lot of projection going on. He had a really great... I've been liking him more and more lately.
Matt Walsh?
Yeah. He's been doing pretty good on some stuff.
He's great.
Yeah.
Did you see his most recent tweet about reparations?
Maybe. I don't know.
He said, I just want people to know I got this started. He shows
I saw that.
He shows the video clip of getting D'Angelo to give his producer money.
That
to
scene
cash.
is so awkward. I can't believe we went to see that in the theater.
I loved it every second.
His response was great. He said, I've been in the middle of I'm going to curse right now because that's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not what I'm saying. I've been in the middle of some bullshit outrage cycles in my day, but the one that some of you cooked up this week is probably the fakest of all. There are even conservatives hounding me and demanding that I apologize for a hidden swastika that someone else posted in a tweet that I replied to. Just to be perfectly clear to all of the slimy little smear merchants playing this game, I apologize for nothing. I owe you nothing. I will not explain myself to you. You all know exactly what you're doing. If anyone is owed an apology in the situation, it's me, but I don't expect one because that would require a level of honor and honesty that none of these trolls possess. Piss off, all of you. That's my statement for the many who have asked. That's good.
Amen.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Good job on that. Good job.
That's masculine behavior. But, you know,
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 30 seconds to make fun of Mark Levin. Something that we've already talked about earlier in the week. 30 seconds making
number
fun
6
of Mark Levin. I don't know which number it is. This is a reply to Steve Witkoff suggesting that maybe war is not the only way to go about doing things with other countries.
You're right. The neocon element believes that war is the only way to solve things. And the president believes that his force of personality, the way he is going to respond to situations, can bend people to do things in a much better way in the interest of the United States government. And I believe in that too.
I'm fine with that. That
Yeah.
sounds great. Not going to war. That's good. Who's not okay with that? Mark Levin is not good with that. He says, by the way, neocon is a pejorative for Jew. Unbelievable. That sounds like a woke statement to me, Mark Levin, just so you know. If you call someone a neocon, you're being anti-Semitic, just so you know.
Yeah. If you're not willing to just murder people,
You're being
you're
anti-Semitic.
anti-Semitic.
This is, yeah, this is ridiculous. What's funny is he had to correct that. First he said, it was a typo. It said, by the way, neocon is a prerogative for Jew. And it was pretty funny.
You gotta get your prerogatives in order.
It was just like totally opposite of what he wanted it to
Yeah.
say. Like that's the Jew prerogative. Okay. Oh my God, we made it.
This is number 7.
Number 7. Maybe I'm
This
interested.
is taking the Twitter world by storm right now.
It is. Oh my God, it's everywhere. I am interested to hear whether or not people disagree with us on this one. Actually,
Before we get to our opinion,
yeah, we're gonna. Well, we'll see what people have to say.
go ahead in the Fed Haters Club. Just post your thoughts on James Comey's Instagram post that he stumbled upon the beach. Shells appear to be laid out in the numbers 8647.
He says, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk," and posts out this photo. So there we go. That's from former FBI Director James Comey.
Yes.
So 8647. Trump is the 47th president, and 86 means something.
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing.
No.
It means something, but some people know exactly what it means. So there's a better picture of it right there. Cat Turd says he must be arrested for this.
In response to Sean
Farash, who says James Comey is calling for the assassination of Donald Trump on Instagram. What's funny is here's how he explained what 86 means. It's an organized crime term, 80 miles out, 6 feet under. People who are 6 feet under are usually not alive. Okay, that's what Sean Farash said, and that was not. I don't think that was a troll. Benny Johnson said former FBI Director James Comey is calling for the assassination of President Trump. 86 means to kill, to murder, to execute judiciously. Clint Russell says 86 get rid of, 47 Trump. Imagine if a former head of the FBI posted something like this about any other president. You can't. It would never happen. This is a threat 100%. I was with him up until the last portion right there.
Yeah.
Although, just out of for friendship's sake, don't remember that Clint is included in this dumb bleep right now, just for friendship's sake. Christy Noam says, disgraced. Former FBI Director James Comey just called for the assassination of President Trump. DHS and Secret Service is investigating this threat and will respond appropriately. Take his guns away. That's fine. Cash Patel says, we're aware of the recent social media post by former FBI Director James Comey directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Curran. I don't know how you say that. Primary jurisdiction is with Secret Service on these matters. Whew, using SS, that's just not the way to go. The FBI will provide all necessary support. Josh Hawley says, because 2 assassination attempts were apparently not enough for these people. Eric Schmidt, senator, says, former director of FBI calling for the assassination of our president. Every single Democrat should denounce this, but sadly their media allies won't even ask them about it. Mike Lee says, former director posted a cryptic message that, as far as I can tell, can be read only to mean kill Trump. I'm speechless, literally speechless, post 1 of 9.
And then he goes on to write 9 pages.
To speak for 9 posts afterwards. That one's more included because I don't like it when people say literally and then continue to speak afterwards. But that's really the main reason. Tom Cotton, same thing. Comey's post about assassinating President Trump is absolutely disgraceful and shows what a deranged fanatic Comey is. Anyone supporting this should be ashamed. Tulsi Gabbard. We might as well just throw everyone in with this thing right now. Why not? Let's throw in, oh yeah, we got Trump in there too. Let's play Tulsi Gabbard.
Come after him because he wants to be a political martyr. He wants to be set up so he can say, oh, look, we were right. Donald Trump is a dictator. They're coming after me. They're arresting me. They're interrogating me. I was just using my free speech.
You know, whatever his intent, I will tell you that there is a guy in Georgia who is issuing threats on my life about a month ago, and he's in jail today. He has been indicted with a crime, as he should have been, and he is in jail as we speak. So whatever James Comey intent, he and people like him need to be held to account according to the law, which is something that he claims to have given his life for and stands by the rule of law. Fantastic. The rule of law says people like him who issue direct threats against the President of the United States, essentially issuing a call to assassinate him, must be held accountable under the law.
Do you believe Comey should be in jail?
I do.
Direct threats.
Okay, I'm trying to get through all this stuff before I blow my top. All right, Trump. Here's Trump. There we go.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country's become respected again, and all this.
All right, we'll leave out the campaign stuff right there. Let's keep going on this. I can tell about at least half or more of our Fed Haters Club is going to disagree with our statements on this. This is where stuff starts to get tricky here for a second. Jack Posobiec says former director of the FBI is calling for left-wing assassins to target our I didn't see anything specific about left-wing assassins in there. I mean, it was a clear assassination call for sure.
Were those left-wing shells?
The 86 was on the left side of the statement, I guess.
I don't know.
And so that's a call that it's definitely you want a left-wing assassin to do it. That's what I see. To target our president and kill him. Have no idea why he hasn't been arrested yet. He also says leaders of the national security state of the prior power structure are openly calling for the assassination of our president, and people will still tell you MAGA are the ones going too far. And then there's this post from 2022 where Jack Posobiec posted out 8646, clearly calling for a right-wing assassin to target and kill President Biden. So what are you going to do?
That in and of itself is dumb.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Oops. Oops, Jack.
Do people not remember what they've posted out?
Should you be in jail,
That's
Jack?
just stupid.
Should Jack be in jail? Of course not.
These are actually on Prime. You can get 2-day delivery on these if you guys want to get these 8646
free. It's
t-shirts,
free delivery.
Free delivery
as
with
long
Prime.
As you have Prime. Yeah.
Now they're lying on this. It says this is called impeach Biden, fire Biden, anti-Biden T-shirt. They put that there because they couldn't put in assassinate Biden, kill Biden, murder Biden.
Yeah.
On Amazon, that would have been flagged, of course, for sure. Matt Gaetz isn't in there anymore And it's a lot of people don't know it's because he killed 3 people. He did admitted to it on X in February. He said, "We've now 86'd McCarthy, McDaniel, and McConnell. Better days are ahead for the Republican Party." I've never seen someone just blatantly
openly
admit to murdering 3 people. So all right. Let's try and think both sides here. Let me try and both sides it.
I'm going to first say the reaction is stupid.
The reaction is really stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
86 can mean a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give the benefit of the doubt because I think I'll say I've been wrong before, especially let's go with Kanye. You know, I think I've made comments before where Kanye's cryptic tweets and everybody was saying, it sounds kind of Nazi-ish. And I'm like, it could have multiple interpretations. And then Kanye comes out full-blown.
Yeah.
Says himself that he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
So there could be an interpretation of this where James Comey might have meant that he wants someone to assassinate President Trump. That is possible.
Sure.
I will give that.
Yeah.
However, someone who posts a picture of 8647 cannot go to jail because you cannot reasonably determine what the interpretation or what the intent behind that freedom of speech is.
And that is because people have to be, what we need for all the people on the right now is to be honest about the fact that 86 has many different meanings according to the person's intent when saying it. Charlie and I worked in restaurants for many
I've 86
many years.
so many things.
Yeah. And they essentially say 86, I don't know. Let's see, we're at Olive Garden. So like 86 pasta, we're out of pasta. Okay, you basically close the doors at that point.
Yeah.
You're essentially
We've 86
saying
breadsticks before.
like you got to remove it.
That was a tough day.
I've always seen 86 mahi mahi, thank you. Something not so clearly stupid from Olive Garden like pasta.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of what we had on the menu, you know. It can clearly mean many different things, and what one of the uses of it is to kill, to take out in a slang definition, but it's long been used for people who work in restaurants and just in general as like get rid of. Like what Clint Russell said, get rid of. Now you can assume that he means via the 25th Amendment or via impeachment for all of the unconstitutional things that have happened, or you can assume, here's the other part that drives me nuts. You can assume that the former FBI director actually was trying, this part's so wild to me, like that the former FBI director actually was trying to post a cryptic message by using something that could be interpreted as killing someone, a cryptic message with something that could be interpreted that way for someone to actually go and assassinate someone, that's the most likely scenario.
And he did that on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Not like secure communications
Not a phone
channel.
call. Didn't call his guy.
Not from a burner phone.
They hadn't decided that I'll send you the message. It's going to be a picture of a seagull on the beach.
Yeah.
Not seashells in the shape of kill Donald Trump.
Right.
It's going to be, when I post a picture of a seagull,
yeah,
then that means it's time to go assassinate Trump, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But no, he like the most cryptic thing he could think to do was to post that out. Yeah, so I think the reaction has been ridiculous, and I'm seeing a lot of people freaking out that would clearly say that these Republicans were not calling for the death or assassination of President Biden. They would say that's ridiculous. You woke snowflake people lying about everything, crazy-ass Democrats out there saying that we're calling to assassinate. It clearly means to get rid of. And by the way, it would be the opposite. It's the opposite. It's one of those hypocritical scenarios where it just depends on who's doing it.
Now, here's the interesting thing. The second part of this is there was some calculations done by some folks, and you're not going to believe this. I don't know if you have this on screen or not. You're not going to believe the calculation. The other thing that is so interesting about this
is wild
is that yesterday was 8,647 days from September 11th, 2001.
What are the odds of that? I confirmed this with Grok. Now, I haven't counted out the days myself, And I've actually seen where Grok came up with different answers on this question, by the way. Like someone asked Grok and it gave a different number. And then I asked Grok and it said today was 8,648 days since 9/11. So that's, this means nothing to me. I'm not trying to give you guys some kind of 9/11 conspiracy theory right now. I'm just saying, what are the odds of that happening? That's wild. Just saying. That's pretty crazy. Now, if the calculation's wrong or whatever, then it's not crazy. But I just think it's cool.
According to Google, I just said, what was the date 8,647 days ago? It was Wednesday, September 12th. So, of course, this was posted yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
On Google.
So now, like, my question is, what are the odds of that happening? Someone tell me what the odds of that are. It's got to be pretty low. I'm not insinuating that anything else occurred other than pure happenstance coincidence. But my God, what are the odds of that?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. And was he calling for a terrorist attack? He was calling for a terrorist attack.
I guess
that's
so.
what it was. They're right. He is
Maybe,
calling. He wants President Trump to be assassinated in a terrorist attack.
Maybe he's.
We probably can't post this on YouTube now. But
why
whatever.
not?
I don't, because I just said he wants President Trump to be assassinated in a terrorist attack.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a joke, though.
Well, you didn't say you wanted it.
No, I don't
You're
want
saying
it.
James
I'm saying
Comey
someone else might want it.
About his post.
But we just cracked the code so hard that they might be too dangerous to post out there.
Mhm.
So, okay, so that's Don't Bleep of the Week, number 7. I think this whole situation is stupid. And you want to know what the other clear thing is? I think Republicans are very, very happy to not be talking about Medicaid right now, because that's all I saw on X before this. And now it's just people calling for the arrest of James Comey. And then there's another annoying section. There's so many reasons you could probably arrest James Comey. I bet you there's shit tons of reasons that you could arrest James Comey.
For real legitimate crimes.
Yeah, actual legitimate crimes. Send someone after him. And this is where DHS gets out there and Kash Patel's out there and Tulsi Gabbard's out there like, this is the thing of big seashells on the beach. That's what it is. You know?
He didn't even, according to the post, he didn't even put him there.
According to what he said.
He said he stumbled upon it.
That's even less believable. But,
yeah,
you know, what are the odds? What are the odds that 8,647 days after 9/11, you walk up to a grouping of seashells that said 8647, which is a common thing that people protesting against Donald Trump would say, and that you're there, they're perfectly in order, and you take a picture of them and post it out. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here. Dumbs all around. Dumbs all around.
Was this a real post by Comey here where he says, I posted earlier a picture of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down.
That's what he said.
That's a CYA message.
That's what he said
there.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no way Comey's going to jail for this.
No.
There's no way. And there's no way he should.
He shouldn't go to jail for this.
No.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't believe his apology or whatever. Like,
now, can
I
he
don't
be
know. I don't
entered
care.
now on a watch list? And,
Sure.
you know, can the FBI monitor his activities? And
Social
see if
Security's
he's-
going to be looking out for James Comey whenever they go. Social Security, sorry. Secret Service, SS. I had SS on the brain thinking about that Matt Walsh post.
Can they monitor, his activities now? Sure. Yeah, whatever. See if he's up to something.
Yeah.
Can they investigate? Sure. But
that's a waste of freaking money.
It is.
Let me tell you
He's
what.
not going to
What
jail.
a waste of money.
This is stupid. This is so
stupid.
dumb. And this is what I thought of when I first saw it. I'm like, this is dumb.
This is dumb. Yeah.
This is dumb.
All
How
right.
can people just, how can people just say this is a threat? I know for sure, 100%, this is a threat.
Yeah.
Take him down. Put him in jail. No, you don't.
You don't 100% know it was a threat.
You don't know that.
When I would have never. I've seen 8647 plenty of times on people wear T-shirts, hats, stuff like that. They write it on signs. I've never once thought that it meant people were wanting them to be assassinated.
Now, if they investigate this and they find like text messages and like things like that, where he was like, we're gonna call for the assassination of Donald Trump and how I'm gonna do it, and this is how I'm gonna do it, then you have a crime.
Then there's a crime. That's
But right now,
happening,
there's no crime.
Mm-hmm.
No crime.
All right, I gotta go pee. We are.
You still have to.
We're about to. It's been over an hour.
Oh, so now we're starting the part 2.
We're about to start back half. Yeah, just so
Part
everyone
trois.
knows, that was part 1. The second half was way easier, by the way. It's a bunch of stuff where you can be like, and then skip past it after that. So second
But it's
half's going to be a lot
full of
easier.
so much great information.
There's a lot oh, it's going to be so worth it.
Yes.
It's going to be the most worth it thing you've ever heard, because we're going to talk about the case to pardon Derek Chauvin. That's going to be happening. Some dumb stuff from Nina Turner. Some anti-capitalist posts. We've got a couple state-related things that are happening right now, like Montana banning the sale of lab-grown meat. And all kinds of stuff like that coming up in the second half of Dumb Bleep, which you guys listening right now are going to hear in tomorrow morning's episode when it comes out. But the Fed Haters Club, all they have to do right now is wait for me to go pee and then come back, and then we're going to go through all that stuff. Okay, so thanks for hanging out, everyone who's listening on Friday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, let you know what the rest of it is. Fed Haters Club, I'll be right back.